What's up, guys? It's Josh here, back with another Kansas City Chiefs related video, and today I wanted to do a little countdown list sort of thing. So as many of you know, I write for arrowheadaddict.com, the Kansas City Chiefs site, and I recently wrote an article on there about the 5 most underappreciated Chiefs in recent memory. And if you haven't read it, you can go check it out, or you can just listen to my video, because basically what we're going to do is save what I wrote in the article for this video, because I wanted to make a video on it, because I know I have separate fan bases in a way where it's not everyone that watches my YouTube looks at my work, and not everyone that looks at my work watches my YouTube. So it's just a way to get my content out on all platforms. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I want to get right into this little list. So we're doing the 5 most underappreciated Chiefs in recent memory. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, because I noticed a lot of people said this when I wrote the article, there's no Alex Smith. Well, I don't really consider Alex Smith underappreciated. I think most Chiefs fans at this point, know Alex Smith's worth. Yeah, he was really solid, but also you have to acknowledge, too, that, guys, Alex Smith was a really good bridge quarterback, but, the dude never even won a divisional round game. He was a good, solid bridge quarterback. It sucked to see him get hurt, but I'm so glad that he was able to actually play football again. That's a really good accomplishment. He deserved comeback player of the year, but like I said, I think most Chiefs fans, they respect Alex. I don't think he's underappreciated in the fan base at all. I think most would agree with me when I say that. But a lot of you might be surprised by some of the names on the list. A lot of them are just kind of forgotten. Like I said, underappreciated Chiefs. Honestly, forgotten might have been a better word for the title, but without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so at number 5, I got Rakim Nunez-Roches. So if you guys remember Nunez-Roches, he was a 6th-round draft pick in the 2015 NFL Draft by the Chiefs. He earned the nickname Nacho from fans. He was just a really high-energy, great locker room presence, was really, I think, pivotal in helping Chris Jones come along when he first got here. I know they were really good friends when he was on the team. But he was someone who could make tackles in the backfield, was a really just solid rotational player, good defensive lineman. He had inside-outside versatility. But unfortunately, the team let him go after the 2017 season in a somewhat surprising move. Honestly, a lot of Chiefs fans, I think, were kind of upset by that, because he was just a nice player. But luckily for Nunez-Roches, he landed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he actually just got a new 2-year deal from them. And he's a Super Bowl champion. So, it sucks that he had to beat us on the way there. But Rakim Nunez-Roches is one of those players that I kind of wish the Chiefs had held on to, and I think a lot of fans liked him as well. So that is my number 5 for most underappreciated Chiefs in recent memory. All right, number 4 on my list. This one could have went to a handful of different players, but I picked a former Chiefs wide receiver, Albert Wilson. So Albert Wilson was an undrafted free agent back in 2014 out of Georgia State. And he ended up being one of the better undrafted free agent pickups, not even just for the Chiefs in recent memory, but in all the NFL. Over 4 seasons with the team, he had 124 receptions for over 1,500 yards and 7 touchdowns. For an undrafted free agent, those are really good numbers. He was fast. He was shifty. He was a good little complement to a wide receiver core that featured young Tyreek Hill, Jeremy Macklin, and Chris Conley. And honestly, Jeremy Macklin and Chris Conley are 2 receivers that you could have put on this list too. But I thought Albert Wilson was very much underappreciated. Jeremy Macklin, I feel like most fans, they remember Jeremy Macklin. They like Jeremy Macklin, and so did I. But I think what does it for me is the fact that Albert Wilson was an undrafted free agent, and the Chiefs got really good production out of him, and then he ended up signing a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Miami Dolphins and free agency. And although he's struggled with injuries there and opted out of the 2020 season, it was still nice to see him get his money and make a nice little career for himself, despite being an undrafted free agent. And Wilson, he always just seemed to be in the right place at the right time. He was really clutch, actually. Like, I remember that one Raiders game a few years ago. It like bounced off the Raider defender, and then Albert Wilson kept running and was able to catch the ball after it bounced off the Raider player. That was amazing. I love that play. I wish I remembered what specific game it was from. A lot of you guys might remember that are watching, though. But yeah, Albert Wilson, man, he was fun to watch. I liked him a lot. Also a really good teammate too. And also a lot of people remember him as the guy that Patrick Mahomes just passed to like 100 times in his first start, and then that's why he got paid. And honestly, you could kind of make an argument that the Chiefs could have kept Albert Wilson for cheaper instead of paying Sammy Watkins all that money, but at this point, I think most fans were content with Sammy Watkins, given the fact he really helped deliver that Super Bowl. So, I don't know, but it is a conversation worth having. But anyways, that's my number 4 for most underappreciated Chiefs in recent memory. All right, and at number 3, I've got former Chiefs cornerback Terence Mitchell. So Terence Mitchell, this is a guy that played for the Chiefs for a couple seasons, and when he was with KC, he was very good. In fact, in 2 seasons with Kansas City, he recorded 65 solo tackles, 4 interceptions, and an astounding 24 passes defended. He was really solid, and unfortunately, he ended up leaving for the Cleveland Browns as a free agent prior to the 2018 season. As a lot of you guys remember, 2018, we had a really bad defense. So Terence Mitchell isn't a world beater by any means, but when you consider the fact that we had Orlando Scandrick and Steven Nelson as our starting cornerbacks at different points in the season, and both of them, actually not both of them, Steven Nelson played basically the entire season, but Orlando Scandrick even got benched at one point. Like, honestly, if we just had at least one competent name in that secondary, there's a chance we win the Super Bowl that year. And Terence Mitchell, I feel like he could have been, like, it's weird to say that Terence Mitchell could have been, what pushed the needle enough for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. But honestly, you can make an argument for it. I mean, he was a really solid corner. He's a guy that's been able to pick up contracts over and over again every year because he's just a good corner and teams want him. I mean, I really like the dude, and he had a short stint here, but he was really, he was a nice player, to be honest. And again, I remember another game against the Raiders. He had this really nice pass batted down that essentially won the game. Again, I forget what game it was, but it was a really nice play. He stretched out to knock the pass down, and it basically won the game. So, yeah, Terence Mitchell, he was a really good player here, and I miss him a lot. That's my number 3. All right, and at number 2, I've got Reggie Ragland. So Reggie Ragland was one of Brett Veach's first acquisitions as general manager, and it ended up being one of the most underrated moves of his entire tenure, because Ragland in his first season, that was with Derek Johnson, his last season, when Reggie Ragland was next to Derek Johnson his first year in Kansas City, man, he was really, really impressive. And, playing next to Derek Johnson, that helps the linebacker a lot, and it certainly helped Reggie Ragland. Showed flashes as a run defender and a nice linebacker. But the next year, which was 2018, and the team brought in Anthony Hitchens, Ragland's play dipped really, really bad. I mean, he just did not do much on that 2018 defense. There's a lot of blame to go around, though. Bob Sutton's definitely to blame a lot. And also that's back when the Chiefs had a 3-4, and honestly, I thought they should have used Ragland more as kind of an outside rusher and or someone that could stand up on the outside and maybe rush the passer a little bit if they needed to. I thought they misused him a little bit, and then 2019, when they hired Spagnuolo and switched to that 4-3, Ragland just kind of seemed to fall out of the depth chart completely. Did not play all that much, but then there was that Week 7 game against the Denver Broncos, the one Patrick Mahomes got hurt, and the run defense was really, really good, and it was because Ragland started that game. They ended up playing Ragland, and I think that had a lot to do with it. And then in the Week 10 game against the Titans that same year, that really disappointing game that the Chiefs lost last minute, Mike Pennell was inactive, which was ridiculous. And Ragland only played 17% of the defensive snaps that game. And guess what happened? Derrick Henry ran for nearly 200 yards on Kansas City. I wonder why. That was a personnel move that was always a head scratcher to me. But Ragland ended up seeing increased snaps as the season went on, becoming a situational run-stuffing linebacker. He finished 2019 with 23 solo tackles and 4 for a loss. And, he's a player that many will overlook when mentioning who helped or when fans talk about, who are players that were, really important in getting the Chiefs to that Super Bowl. Ragland is definitely up there. He's not a Kelsey, he's not a Hill, he's not a Chris Jones, but, he was a good run-stuffing linebacker, and the Chiefs kind of missed him this past year as someone who could just go in there for a few plays and stuff the run. I really liked Reggie Ragland, and he was a really underrated pickup, and he is definitely my number 2. All right, and my number 1, a lot of you guys are going to hate this. Some of you may even unsubscribe. You may dislike the video. Please don't. Agree to disagree. But my number 1 is D Ford. Yep, that's right. The guy that arguably cost the Chiefs a trip to the Super Bowl in 2018. You see, guys, I get it. D Ford made a horrible mistake lining up offsides on the play that would have won the Chiefs the game. However, D Ford was still a really, really good player when he was on the field. I get it. He struggled with injuries. The 49ers lost that trade with the Chiefs because he hasn't done all that much there. Again, he struggled with injuries. The Chiefs kind of dodged a bullet. I will agree there. But there's still no denying that D Ford was a beast when he was healthy and on the field. Look, and even in that game, I more so blame that roughing the passer call that they called on Chris Jones against Tom Brady where he tapped his shoulder pad. I thought that was almost a bigger reason that the Chiefs lost that game than the D Ford play, because I have a feeling the D Ford play doesn't even happen if they don't call that just absolutely BS roughing the passer on Chris Jones. But nevertheless, D Ford, it was an unfortunate play. However, D Ford, he was a guy that wanted to win. He had a good heart. No player wants to be that player, and unfortunately, Chiefs fans are always going to remember him for that. And that's part of the reason I was so upset when he got traded back at the time, because that's all Chiefs fans are going to remember him for, that offsides, and he never really got a chance to redeem himself. But when he was here, he totaled over 30.5 sacks in his time with Kansas City, and he was a great speed rusher that possessed arguably the greatest first step in the NFL. I get it, he's not a good run defender. The Chiefs have found better fits for their defense now, but I still appreciate Ford. I think he's definitely underappreciated. Many fans hate him. I understand fans that hate Steven Nelson. And Steven Nelson honestly could have gone on this list too. Like, I get fans that hate Steven Nelson because of the way that he treated fans and the team on the way out, but you still kind of have to admit that Steven Nelson was a decent corner. That 2018 season, look, the reason he was so pissed at Kansas City is because fans kept saying that he sucks, but you have to understand that he was the only really good cornerback on a really bad defensive team, and Bob Sutton was his defensive coordinator, but he ended up having success in Pittsburgh, and I think that's telling. A lot of these guys were fired up when Bob Sutton was fired because, who would want to play for Bob Sutton in that defense? You can't really blame Steven Nelson all that much because he was good before then. So anyways, I'm going off on a completely different tangent. Anyways, D Ford is my number 1 for underappreciated Chiefs in recent memory. But I want you guys to leave in the comments, who are some of your most underappreciated Chiefs in your mind over the past several years. I know, Jeremy Macklin is one that I mentioned earlier. A lot of people said that one. I feel like, most people know Jeremy Macklin's worth. Some people have said DeAnthony Thomas. Some people said Emmanuel Ogbah. Again, Emmanuel Ogbah is a player that I think most Chiefs fans would want on this team still. And I wouldn't say he's underappreciated. Most fans know, his worth as well. But yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments, who are your most underappreciated Chiefs in your mind, and we'll get a discussion going. So make sure you like, share, subscribe so we can get other Chiefs fans to see this. And let's get me to 1,000 subscribers before the draft. Again, would be a dream come true if we can make that happen. So smash that like button and keep sharing my videos. And make sure you check out my content on showmefootball.com and Arrowhead Addict. That's all I got for today. Peace.